Hey guys, how are you all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. So this is our Bitcoin evening wrap up. So straight up to those charts. Interesting price action in Bitcoin today. Not interesting so far as we've had a lot of volatility, but it's just interesting in so far as we just appear to be just floating out this pennant formation like it's not even relevant. But yeah, this is not exactly bearish price action though. I will point out, whatever you do hang around, consolidate at highs, which we are doing, and obviously lots of time frames. It is a pretty it's a pretty bullish indicator that eventually the people that are selling this resistance level, because that's what people do. You don't buy resistance, you sell resistance. So the people that are selling resistance, the traders that are selling resistance, are basically, they're not getting paid. So they're not getting paid for their shorts. So eventually they are going to decide to cover their shorts. And at which point we'll potentially get a move up. So that's my read on this price action. And obviously the further, I mean, this is kind of like Wile E. Coyote when he's running off the cliff and he doesn't realize that there's nothing below him. It's kind of like that, but in an opposite way. Whereas the price action is sort of running this way, not off a cliff so much as running out of this pennant, and then eventually it's going to realize that it's broken out of this pennant to the upside, and then basically fly to the upside. So maybe Wile Coyote is not the best analogy, but I mean, you can get your head around what I'm saying. We're just going to keep drifting out, and all of a sudden the market's going to be like, wait a minute, we're out of the pennant, bang. So yeah, that is obviously a possibility here, a distinct possibility, I think. But just looking at this again, another thing I'll say, guys, this is why I much prefer horizontals. I mean, you see, I've only put this on recently because this pennant has become pretty obvious looking. But I don't particularly like horizontals. And then I obviously have this larger one on because that's a larger macro time frame one, and I have to have drawn on. But you can see I have lots of horizontals drawn on my chart. And that's how I like to trade, because, and it's not just because I've got anything against lines that aren't straight. It's just because I just find that they work better to trade with than trend lines, basically. So, I mean, yeah, like I'm saying, these trend lines are clearly showing themselves to be more important than this horizontal. We're out of this horizontal, and nothing's really happening. So, but what we are doing is we're staying restrained between these two resistance and support blocks. So we're in this zone basically. So yeah, I mean, so far as we're gonna keep just drifting out of here, I can't see that eventually, like Wile Coyote, the market's going to look down, realise that the pennant is way below us, and then obviously that means the market then has to go up. That means that the people that are short are going to be like, wow, what am I holding short for when we've broken out the top of the pennant? I need to close my short, quick. And maybe we're just in a sort of a who's going to blink first scenario here. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we are just waiting. The people that are short, that have been selling this resistance, this macro resistance, this shorter time frame resistance, they're sort of waiting for a move up to then tell themselves, right, we need to get out of here. And whilst nobody is none of them are currently covering their shorts and buying, then they're all just going to sit there in their position. I mean, why close it? We may drop down. So this is why I think once we do start trading over 9,800, then, I mean, what I would like to say is that the longer we do hang around under here, the more explosive I think it will be, and the more obvious the trade will be. Once we break above 9,800, then the more legs the actual move will have, the further it will go. So because what we're doing is we're building up energy here. We're building up energy in this formation. So there'll be people selling, people buying, people selling, people buying, people selling, people getting the shorts on, people getting the longs on, and none of those people are having to take these positions off at the moment. So eventually it's going to break one way, and then what's going to happen is obviously the people that have got the wrong position on are going to have to cover, and then they may also, I mean, I'm sure they're not stupid traders, they may well then buy the breakout and just flip their position, and then people that are waiting will flip their position, and then people that have already bought will probably buy more. I know I'm saying buy, obviously this all works the same for sell, so we can do the same for sell as well. So it could obviously break down. I'm not saying that can't happen, but yeah, it's just it just feel like we're on the precipice of a move, and you have, the trend is your friend. This is basically looks like a bull flag. This larger formation looks like a bull flag. So you just have to give it the statistical edge, the statistical the chance basically on the balance of probabilities. Assume it's going to break up until you prove them wrong and we go down. In which case we just take a short trade. So yeah, I mean it's difficult. Our 12-hour Stokes we can see has almost perfectly looking like it's gonna reverse and bounce off our trend line that we had drawn. If we come down a little bit. I mean, it's not looking like it's heading straight for it to break down. So I do think this was a scenario I was saying to you guys, was that this trend line here, if we come down and test it on the 12-hour but to curl around and move back up, then I think that will be the trigger, to be honest. Obviously I don't think that will happen without us being about 9,700 to 9,800, but obviously once that happens, that I think will trigger the move. And then if we even look at it now, we may not even make the trend line, and that's not inherently bearish. That is in itself bullish. So we'll look at the 4-hour one. 4-hour again is getting quite low. I mean, we can see we've got a bit of a trend line on the 4-hour here as well, to the downside. Well, yeah, I mean, if we test that again and come back up, or if we just start to make our way back up now, it does look very constructive. So we'll just get rid of this a second, get rid of this now. But yeah, so we'll have a look at the 12-hour is possibly putting a bit of a dampener on things with this 9. I mean, if I was to say, I mean, a lot of you guys won't necessarily trade or use the TD sequential, but in my experience, I know that it is a powerful tool. So the fact that we do have this on the 12th day and we have this on the weekday, I know this is going to be giving a lot of people like the sort of the heebie-jeebies, the nervousness to enter long trades and to and also basically make them take profit on long positions, close out some if not all of long positions. I do know that is the case. So so this is, again, it just brings me back straight to this 9,800 level. So I would basically say, because if you guys watch any of my other videos on other markets, on forex markets, on other major indices, on oil, on gold, on anything on stocks, right, what I'll have is, when you have the sell 9, the buy signal to show that you are wrong on that trade, and just to get back long again, because that is usually with the trend. You're looking for a trend reversal. Once we break the top of that 9 candle, we sort of invalidate that candle. So we invalidate that 9 as a potential reversal in the market. So then it's sort of like, right, okay, we can all buy back in now. So as a trader of this strategy, what I would be doing, I'd be looking to take profits at the 9, on the 9 candle, and then potentially go short if we basically close a 12-hour candle below the low of the candle, which is here, which we haven't done, and then also just reopen my long again at the close of the high of the candle if we close above the high of the candle. So again, that comes in around 9,800, just under 9,800. So it seems pretty obvious to me, if we close a candle, a 12-hour, even a 4-hour, any sort of real decent, 4-hour above, basically any sort of decent time frame candle above this support resistance at the moment, but above this resistance here, then I think that's it. And I think we basically, I mean, 10.5k is going to come pretty quick, like pretty quick. So that's what I kind of feel is going to happen here, because we're expecting a move, and the longer we just sit up here and we don't really look weak and the oscillators cool off and then start to turn back up again, I mean, that's only bullish. And obviously larger time frames, we've had great monthly and weekly closers. So yeah, there's not too much else I can say about that, other than I just think there's apprehension in the market because we're at such macro levels. It's sort of like, if we take this leap, if we take a leap into this abyss, this sort of abyss of no real price action, no real price history, of just onwards and upwards, then it's kind of like we're fully committed to this move, and you can sort of sense that there's just an apprehension to take the leap. But eventually, this is sort of like one of the sort of pushes that I'm talking about, is that the further we drift out of this formation and then potentially even trade above here, just in a sort of orderly fashion, eventually everyone's gonna start closing. And then everyone's going to start closing all at once, and then we're going to have a big move. I mean, the other possibility that we could potentially get here, which is not bearish, but if we are gonna basically drift out of here, play around this area, and invalidate this pennant, what is going to happen is let me just get the drawing tools on again. What is going to happen is we are going to basically form what will be a pretty clear ascending triangle of sorts. This is assuming this sort of just hangs around this level, gets to 9,800 and doesn't break up, which I don't think is probable. But if we get up here and don't break up and we just have this sort of hanging around, and then yeah, I mean, then if we don't break up, that might give the bears some more confidence that they can put more shorts back on, or put their shorts back on, and then maybe we just come back down for a test of the bottom of the triangle, of the ascending triangle, and then I would assume we'll then curl back up and then break through, just purely because that's the statistical most likely scenario. But obviously that's not the case for the moment. I mean, for the moment we're still in a pennant that I kind of have to be careful how I draw now without just adjusting it to fit what the price is kind of doing now. Oh, we're moving all sorts of stuff around now. Right, we'll leave that and we'll put that back, I think. In fact, we'll just undo it all. That's the easiest way to get us back where we were. There we go. I haven't just messed about with that, have I? I think I probably have. Oh no, maybe this was a line we did draw in the middle. Yeah, I probably moved this line, haven't I, from where it should be. This is why it's kind of annoying that I forget that draw. Anyway, we'll leave it for the time being. It's fine. It doesn't matter. We know what's going on. We know where our levels are. But yeah, so right, okay. So let's have a look at the range and stop. So yeah, you can take today. You can see we went into a sell. So we had a sell trade around here, which was a great sell trade. And then obviously taken profit then out of whatever remaining trade, and then we had another sell trade here. Market did come down a little bit, then we did actually flip to a buy, and then our first buy trade was here, and yeah, so we're still basically in that buy trade. I have actually set up one of the bots today. I've set up a slightly different one to this one that we've got here. It's not a different one. It's a Dominator bot. It's on a slightly different look back to this, on a slightly different time frame. But I'm also going to set this one up too on the other on 3 commas also. But I'll probably do that tomorrow, and I'm going to over the next week or so set up a few bots and sort of diversify bot trading strategy using it. They'll all be using the various different Dominator lookbacks and Dominator strategies. But yeah, actually looking at this, I mean, we had the bounce from roughly the bottom area of our larger range, and then we came and tried to get to the top. But yeah, you can see prices compress. It's not even really able to get to the top or bottoms of these ranges at all, which it can usually do. Obviously, it can usually do when we're trading. But yeah, prices. I mean, you can definitely. You can feel the apprehension in the market. It's like you're in the African savannah, and there's like a tiger, and he's like or a lion, and they're looking at like an antelope, and it's sort of like they're stood there looking at each other, and it's kind of like who's going to run first, who's going to run, and they're sort of waiting for one to run or one to move, and that's what it feels like we are at the moment. We're waiting for either the bull or the bears, to one of them to make a move, and then the other one's then going to either run away, or the other one's then going to obviously come and chase them. So yeah, it's a very strange trade market at the moment. It just feels like it's just It just feels like it's just trying to exhaust the bull's patience, it feels like. But yeah, but also anyway though, like I said, whilst ever we're up here, it's just giving oscillators time to cool off. I mean, if we look at the daily, yeah, I mean the daily's still up. It's still looking strong. It's still moving up. It's obviously going to come into contact with this trend line, so maybe that'll give us a bit of downside impetus. But yeah, it's just an interesting market at the moment. Interesting in the fact that not a lot's happening, but obviously that is interesting because this is Bitcoin, and not a lot happening doesn't happen too often in Bitcoin, as we all know. So there we go. So anyway, I'll end the video now. I'll stop rabbiting on about what I think is or isn't going to happen. But yeah, they're my views. So it's pretty simple how we are looking at the market. So obviously, trading below this level here will clearly activate short trades around 9,300 and over 9,800 buy trades. And then whilst we're in this zone, there's just no trade. There's no real trade to have. Obviously, as a trader, and not just because I want to be bullish, but as a trader, I feel like the move up is going to be far more explosive and far more exciting and far more interesting than the move downwards, because the move downwards potentially only really has could potentially only come down to the bottom of the pennant, or maybe wick down to here. The move upwards could literally start us on our path to maybe not seeing 10k for a long time again, and maybe even yeah, move into all-time highs pretty soon. I mean, once Bitcoin gets moving, Bitcoin can really get moving. People have a lot of recency bias. The more calm a market is, the more people think that's how it's going to stay, and clearly it's the opposite is true. That's just your mind playing a trick on you. Recency bias is your mind playing a trick on you, and then when you get a massive move, people then think, oh, we're going to get another massive move, and it's just like we just get consolidations. Again, it's the recency bias. But anyway, so I'll end the video there. Sorry I don't have too much more else to say. I mean, we've got clear trades here. Below 9,300 sell, above 9,800 buy. Yeah, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Obviously, I think the above 9,800, then an absolute big move up is the likeliest scenario based on a number. Like everything we keep looking at, it seems to come to the same zone of 9,800. So you can see why we kind of sort of rejected that zone the first time. But we're drifting back up there, and we're halfway there between where we touched it and where we got rejected to. We'll be back. We're halfway there, guys. Oh wait, we're halfway back there. So it's not much further to go, guys. And I mean, if you look at these 4-hour Stokes, they've had a nice amount of time to cool off. Look, and now they can have another push up with the price action potentially. So anyway, so thanks for listening, guys. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Hopefully we'll get some proper price action soon. I mean, I can just sense it. We're gonna have a wild time soon. If we break up these ranges between where we are now and 20k, then once we get over 20k, 30k, going to be wild. And then also altcoins are going to go crazy. There's going to be I'm actually going to start a daily video on some altcoin analysis, just the same sort of stuff, BTC pairs and also just their normal pairs, but I do prefer trading altcoins against BTC, just purely because it's just different charts to look at. I mean, it's like, do I just want to buy an altcoin because it's going to go twice as much, or do I just want to buy BTC on twice the leverage? I mean, you know, you can see where I'm going with that. Obviously, when BTC consolidates at a higher level, we know then obviously alts have a bit more of a rally, like we are pretty much seeing here. Ethereum is looking very strong because BTC is just playing out this range above here, consolidating. So people are looking for fun elsewhere. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time if we break up here. Not then to mention the fact we're all just gonna BTC get richer anyway. And then when you have losing trades, I mean, if you try and pick out some shorts and you lose, I mean, you probably may not lose any fiat value, so there's always that aspect as well. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, one last time, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will speak to you guys tomorrow morning.